Jim Rohn said, "Success is what you attract by the person you become." How do you become? You become by designing the exact person you want to be, becoming that person right now. You see, I find that most people believe that success is either by accident or by luck. I believe that success is by design. Hi, I'm Alfonso Cuadra, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and creator and host of this program. You see, I went from being a 15-year-old, war-torn, homeless high school dropout to running a successful corporation before the age of 20. But what happened? Did the world change or did people change? No. I discovered that for things to change, first, I had to change. And I did. I sat down at 17 years old and I made a list of goals and I designed the exact life I wanted to live. I achieved everything on that list before 20 years old. Success is not by accident, it is by design. And welcome to the Success by Design show, where we bring you the stories and formulas of successful people that have designed their own success. And today, we're talking about ideas turned into real businesses. And there's no one else better than that than Paula Whitelock. Great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Now, you actually, it went more than an idea. You had a business going on in your basement.
Yes.
And you turned your business from your basement to a real physical location, and this wasn't overnight, but this is what you did. So can you tell us how you went from having a business in the basement to having a real physical location?
So a little bit about the business. I started charging when I was 13 years old, and we're talking in the high school hallways, for some lunch, for some dinner. And so I really started off small, but I always knew that I wanted to have a salon. I just didn't really know when. So I continued on in the basement. I was traveling from people's house to house and doing people's hair. And it was good. I was having a good time. But then all of a sudden I started to see I was losing money. Whether it was the client that wasn't able to pay this week and, didn't tell me till after the service was complete. And going through things like that, I started to realize, this is really sucking the life out of what I'm doing, especially with being in such a passion-driven industry. I really did not want to lose my passion for hair. So I just one day said, you know what, this is not it. I need more than this. And that's how the business came about. So May 2010 was when I opened. And it took about 4 months to kind of get everything together, and it helped knowing somebody in construction. It helped knowing a lawyer and having those kind of those ends already tied. So therefore, it wasn't as much of those costs up front. But it was definitely an interesting experience, and I love the fact that I opened the business when I was 21. It was great, but I did not necessarily build the business by design at first. Being in the 4th year, there's a lot more designing that I'm doing, and I actually really appreciate that part of the business a lot more now. But definitely opening the business young, it was it was very interesting. Yes. So now, as I said, being in the 4th year, yeah, it's a great time, and we're always learning every day.
So you started at 13 years old. How did you know that this was the business for you? How did you know that this was like something that it was gonna be your career at 13?
Passion. Yeah, that's the one thing that drives me today. It drove me yesterday, and it will drive me tomorrow. I find that having passion in what you're doing, it doesn't really matter what it is. But if you can wake up and you're happy every day because you're going into work, that's a bonus. That's definitely a bonus. So I think passion is hands down the thing that drives me.
For people out there, maybe they have a business in their basement already. What are some kind of roadblocks or things that you had to face, maybe overcome some challenges? Mm-hmm. I mean, you went from having a business in your basement to an actual physical location. There must have been some roadblocks there, things that you might have said, whoa, is this for me?
Well, you're going from, no bills, my parents' basement, so there was no overhead to overhead. So right away, it's a huge transition. So I think you have to be ready for it. That's where the business plans come in, and there's a lot of strategy that needs to go into opening a business. It's not just, open one day and hope to stay open the next. You really need to have a strategy, and you really need to design your success that you see for the business. So for myself, it really came, I'm not going to say it came easily. it is coming easier as I move forward, but I think for anybody that is going to start, that wants to transition out of their basement, it's definitely possible. You have to really believe that it is, and believe that you want what you want to design for your business, and then you just move forward. You take the right measures, the right steps. There's so much help around us.
What kind of resources did you access?
Well, I am a graduate of the Small and Medium Enterprise Management program at Algonquin, so that was great to have that foundation. And then I also used the Entrepreneurship Center a lot before I opened, just to kind of get refreshers. And then it was just a matter of talking to, I had a lot of clients that I didn't realize, her father's a lawyer, or whatever it may be. There's so much resources around us that we don't take advantage of, and when I say take advantage, I mean in the good sense, because there is the abuse, but there's also taking advantage of a great opportunity or a great outlet that you have right in front of you. So really just working with what you've got.
That's really interesting, because a lot of people out there, they feel like they're by themselves, right? And you just get surprised when you're starting in business how much people actually help you, right?
Yeah, I think you would fail to realize until you get to that point. Most people are in your corner. The ones that are not, they will slowly kind of phase themselves out of your life. But the ones that are meant to be there and that want to see the success, they will be there to help you hands down, and they won't ask. You don't have to ask them twice. So, what
was the one challenge? I want to hear the one story that little challenge that you just said, maybe I might not make it here.
I think the biggest challenge that I still face today is definitely with employees, because I believe that they should, be like myself and have the passion, have the drive, and want to treat the client as they would want to be treated. That's a big thing that I enforce in my salon culture. So that is definitely still the main thing. And thankfully I have Jasmine that's there at the shop now, and she's a great team member, and anyone that comes in the shop is family. It's really a choice. I choose to have the salon built this way and to keep that positive culture going all around. So I think it's really a lot easier than it may seem, but at first it's overwhelming. Of course, there's just a lot of stuff going on, but you just keep the faith that you can really push through it, and you do.
So you started your business. You had to overcome. You went from the basement, 13 years old, actually, from your locker to the basement. Then you had to overcome a few challenges.
Yes.
Now you have a physical business, but you don't start earning a living right away.
No.
So when was the point where you said, "Wow, I can actually make a living doing this"?
I believe that I knew that before I opened the business. Otherwise, I don't think I would have done it. But I would say even a few months ago, I just kind of had that moment where I was like, okay, if this is what I chose for myself, how can I create more? How do I get more out of my business? And so it's really nice, and I'm having a lot of fun actually finding those things that can help to drive the business more and really solidify the brand, especially in the city of Ottawa. I'm born and raised here, so I'm very proud. Very proud of that, and I plan to keep the business. For as long as may be. So, it's just finding the things that work best.
Do you find because you're in business, a lot of people approach you, I have my little thing, or I want to, and if they do, what kind of advice do you give them?
I'm big on advice. I love giving advice because I didn't have that. I didn't have the mentor before I opened, and I think things like that definitely would have made a difference. So the biggest thing that I tell anybody going into business is business plan. That is number one. Because as I said, I kind of jumped in. It was like a 3-4 month, and although I could have had that solid business plan, I did not. And now going into the 4th year, that is something that is very important to have that strategy and know what I'm doing next year, the year after, and what I did yesterday. So the business plan, knowing, especially things like the government, there's a lot of ins and outs that we're not really told before you open up. So that's a major one. Really know what the government wants from you, what they expect, and when.
Or you can get into trouble.
Well, that's the thing. They'll take you away.
Yeah.
So you can't mess around with things like that.
Yeah.
Having your accountant, having your bookkeeper, having your lawyer, having your banker, all those things that you're going to need to have, for you to create longevity in the business, you have to have those things on paper.
Now, for the entrepreneurs, or maybe someone that is looking to become an entrepreneur or start a business, go from their basement, go from the idea to a real business, right? What are 3 tips that you can offer for someone right now to take and run?
So I'm going to go back right away to the business plan. That's definitely the first tip. The second thing I would say is passion. Hold the faith in what you're doing, because there's a reason why you want to do it. So
believe in yourself.
Yeah, really just having that belief that you can create and you can design that success that you want to see. That's a major one. And I think the third thing I would say is don't discredit what you have done to date. I find it's very easy to, especially as an entrepreneur, you're always striving for the best. And it's very easy to discredit what you already have done. So I think that's a big one. Don't discredit what you've done. Always remember that there's a reason for everything, and that reason will come. You don't know when it's going to come, and you don't know how the message is going to be conveyed to you.
People get so tied up in the how, right?
Yeah, you can't, because there's no immediate answer. Nobody's going to come down and just say, this is how, it would be nice, but it's not the reality. So in all reality, it's really about yourself and making sure that you know why you open this business, not forgetting that, and just moving forward with whatever may come in the way.
Was it a good choice?
Oh, the best.
Well, we're just about to go commercial break, but before we go to the commercial, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And I know that you've taught a lot of people out there, maybe a little something. Maybe they don't even have the idea yet. But for those people that are out there right now, they just need a little inspiration. What is the one quote that you live by?
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason, but we may not know what the reason is yet.
And what's the name of the business?
Hair Designs by Paula. You can find me at 198 Greenbank Road, hdbp.ca.
All right. So that was Paula, and we'll make sure to come back with more Success by Design show. Welcome back, and we are talking to entrepreneurs that had an idea and now they turned it into a real business. And there's someone very special here in the studios. Thank you for coming, Linda Pond. And you actually had an idea, an invention actually. It was, that you turned into a real business. So before we get into it, I just want to know, what was kind of your life before the idea?
I have a business called Customer Connects, and in that business I was connecting entrepreneurs and mostly high-tech people and inviting them to participate in opportunities. And within that whole sphere of what I was doing with Customer Connects, I was able to build this fantastic network of other entrepreneurs, of engineers, of people who have really good insight into a lot of the scientific and things that are going on within Ottawa. And from that moment, when the idea came to me and my daughter, who is the co-inventor, it was like, holy crow, here's this opportunity, and look what we've done already. We've already built this network of absolutely fantastic, outstanding resources that we just dove right in and used them to support the production of our product.
So you had built the resources first, and then, so now, how does this idea come about? And first of all, I want you to talk about your invention and, you know, what it is.
Yes.
And then kind of give us the backstory of how it came about.
Sure. I'm a ball player. I'm a pitcher. My daughter, Rhonda Pond, she's a catcher. And we've been playing ball, ladies fastball in Carleton Place for, 25 years or so together. And one night after the game was over, Rhonda reached into the cooler to get herself a beverage, and she said, you know, how come the fridge has a cooler, but how come a fridge has a light, but there's no light in a cooler? And I thought it was a rhetorical question until I started to do some Google research and came to understand that no one's done this before.
Can you imagine?
How about we do this? And so that's what set us off into this whole other area of inventing and taking a product to market. But because with my business that network was already there, it was just the next opportunity to just take it to them and say, hey, look what we've done, and can you help?
What? So right now there's people that have an idea, but they say, you know what, someone's already thought about that. What kind of steps can they take to kind of, start, putting their idea into action?
Well, the very first thing is Google. Do your own search, find out what's out there, and just because you do find something that's maybe similar, it doesn't mean that you have to stop. It means that there's something that's already in the market, so it gives you the go-ahead to say, well, okay, people are already liking that, for example, or using that product, so how can I make it different and better? That's the general direction you take if it's already on the market. If it isn't, as in my case, and as I'm talking to people would say, well, that's a good idea. And that was the aha moment for me as I was explaining this idea to people, and they were going, I get it, I want it. And I went, okay, so to my peril, do I not do anything with this idea? So making sure that people who are out there with ideas and they get that feedback, take that to the bank.
So for someone out there right now, they have an idea, they're like, oh, you know what, I can't tell anybody.
Right.
Because what if they steal my idea, right?
Yeah.
So number one, it's almost like it's a little bit negative, but also they make sense in a way because someone can take your idea. So how do we deal with that?
It's a reality. Yes, people may take your idea, but the odds are they won't. Taking a product to market is probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do. And people understand that. So unless they already have something in the works that, an idea like that can drop into, chances are they won't steal your idea. And most of the entrepreneurs that I do talk to, they say that, I have to keep it a secret. Well, no, you don't. Because if you do, like you say, Alfonso, we have to use people, we have to have the people in our network to help us. So if you keep it a secret, it stays a secret.
It'll die.
It will die a secret.
They say the biggest wealth of the world is in the graveyard, because
Yes.
in the graveyard are inventions nobody heard about, songs nobody heard, poems nobody saw.
I agree.
Yeah. So, what are some you just don't have an idea and then boom, all of a sudden you have an invention, let's put it to market. What are some challenges that you've gone through?
Well, the challenges for us, and because I was not in the industry of inventing, but I did have a great network, one of the bigger challenges was money. How do you do something with an idea without any money? So I went to my network, and because those relationships were solid, when I approached Steve Karkner, for example, who did the electronics design, I said, Steve, I got this really great idea, and I don't have any money. What could we do? And so he looked at me and he said, Linda, he said, I really like this idea. A light in a cooler? Who's done that before? I like that idea. But he said, the most important thing is I like you. So therefore, I'm going to do all the work and I'm not going to charge you for it. We'll figure out, a royalty agreement, or I think that you have what it takes to get this thing to market. So I'm going to bet that we will start selling, and then we can work out an agreement where you can pay me once you start earning revenue from your product. And I went, wow.
Is that a hindrance for people? They just think, it just takes too much money. Like, what are the steps? You got to go get it. You got to have a patent. That's probably the most expensive step.
It isn't. Not at the beginning. With your patent, what you want to do is do a provisional patent, which is your subset of a patent, which allows you to put out a little bit of money. It's about $1,000, $1,500. But it gives you a year to say, okay, I have this idea, and at the end of the year, then I have a choice whether I want to go ahead with a regular patent or just say, you know what, it's not worth it to me, and back off. So you were losing that $1,500. However, it gives you a timestamp. So when you put that timestamp at the beginning of that provisional patent, that's the time that they use if you apply for your regular patent. So it gets you in the door before others, perhaps. But the patent is it's the later when you do the regular patent. That's when the big bucks start rolling in, or that's when the big bucks start leaving.
So now you advise people on, if they have an invention. You now, part of your business is advising people on what to do, because you've been through all the ups and downs. So you wrote a book.
Yes.
And you brought the book with you?
I did. I did.
So we'll do the shameless plug of the book real quick.
Did.
Top Secrets of a Girl Entrepreneur.
Top Secrets of a Girl Entrepreneur.
But guys can read it.
Oh, for sure, guys can read it. My background is, my family is full of brothers. So I come from a male-dominated background of family. I joined high-tech, male-dominated again. So a lot of the things that I've learned through my life have come from a fairly male perspective. And when us women get to be in a certain age, we understand the value of that, but also what's the balance of that? Well, the balance is the female perspective. So
is there a difference between a woman entrepreneur and a guy entrepreneur?
There sure is.
And as a guy entrepreneur, should I be reading the Girl Entrepreneurs to see what kind of how the mindset is?
Why not? Why not read about something a little bit different than how you're looking at something? But yes, males and females, we are different. And for the longest time, I kept saying, well, we're not different, but
business
we are.
Business is business, right?
Business is business. But we are different. We're physiologically different. We're emotionally different. And when we come to terms with that and accept that and say, well, I am different, so I'm going to do it this way, and I have the freedom to do it that way because we're different.
Wow. I love the book idea. I love the invention. At what point in your life did you say, wow, this is actually a real business here. This is what I'm doing?
Yes. And that came about when the product was on the market. We had taken the product to market. We'd done all the different things that you need to do to bring a product to market. And it gave us the observation, it gave us the ability for people to see, wow, she did that. So how can I do that? So taking that experience and lending it to other entrepreneurs and other inventors who say, I'm overwhelmed, but I've got this really good idea, but I have no idea what to do with it. So those are the people, and that's at the stage that I would really love to talk to them and say, so you have an idea, so let's talk about it. And so to be able to be upfront and a trusting ear for those who are afraid perhaps that, it's a secret I can't tell you, but to be able to coach them through the process of taking a product to market. Because it's a big one and it can be overwhelming. But if you take it step by step, it's okay.
Now, this is the part where we give the viewer, the entrepreneur, the guy that has the idea right now, a little something that they can take with them, a little take home.
Right.
So what are your 3 tips that you can offer somebody right now, an entrepreneur, someone that has an idea? Maybe you're just sitting there, you have no idea, but you had lots of ideas, but now you've seen them on infomercials. Someone stole your idea. What are 3 tips that you can offer for them to just grab onto and run with it?
And I spent some time thinking about this question, and I put together some N words. And my first word is need. Make sure that if you have an idea, it's based on a need. It's based on something that people are striving to do but can't because they don't have the technology or the gadget to do it with. Rather than coming up with a really good idea and building it off an idea without knowing, is there really a market for it? And that's one of the things within high tech that we tend to miss, because the technology is so exciting that the customer is kind of like, okay, well, that's an afterthought. But the way real business is done, base it on a need.
And another thing, the need, like the Tim Hortons guy that invented that thing that,
Yes.
that rolls up the rim.
Yes?
I don't see how he monetized that.
Well, I don't know his business model either, but that was a need. How do people roll up the rim if they don't have those two teeth on the bottom, right? Or they don't have fingernails? That was based on
So that's the first tip, need.
Need.
Second?
Second tip is network. Make sure, number one, that you have the resources in place, or that you know where to go to get the resources. And network as a verb, to make sure that you get out there and you meet the people at the networking events. Ottawa is amazing for different networking events. Steve Lowell, who'll be on your show, he does an amazing job with his networking events, and there's a plethora of events that you can take advantage
What
of.
about the people? I'm doing my network. I'm on Facebook.
Oh dear. That's not networking. That really isn't.
Okay, so quickly, the last tip.
The last tip is neck. Stick your neck out. Stick it out, because you got to take a risk. You've got to chance the things that are out there. And if you're too comfortable, chances are things aren't going to happen for you. But if you stick your neck out and take a chance, the opportunities are there.
There's someone watching right now. They're excited. Quick quote, last quote. What's the quote you live by?
A quote that I live by was told to me by David Perry from Ottawa. He said, "It's not what you know, it's who you know." He said, no, that's not it. He said, "It's not who you know, it's who knows you." Oh, wait a minute. That's not it at all. It's not who knows you, it's who notices you.
I love it. That was 3 quotes. But come back next time for more of Success by Design show.